I want to tell you about a moment that changed my life. Not a proud one. One I've been sitting with for over 20 years. I was an actor, and for a period in the late 90s and early 2000s, I had a genuinely exciting career. TV roles, touring productions, enough success to believe I might actually make it. And then I got the call, an opportunity so big, I'm still not entirely sure I deserved to be in the room. One of the most ambitious television productions ever attempted, a collaboration between two of the biggest names in Hollywood, a project that would go on to win virtually every award it was eligible for. I'd been through 3 recall auditions. I'd met one of the producers personally. He told my agent that he wanted to pencil me for a main part. Then they called for one more audition, and something in me snapped. Why did I need to prove myself again? I'd done 3 recalls. I deserve this. So instead of learning the script that they had sent me, I went to the gym and then I went to the pub. The next day, bleary-eyed, I walked into the audition. And in the corridor outside the room was Tom Hardy, walking his lines, warming up his voice, preparing his whole instrument. And I sat there like the opportunity owed me something. They called me in, asked if I'd learnt the script. I said, no, I'm just going to read it. They said, this is HBO, this is BBC, if you haven't learnt the script, this job isn't for you. They showed me out without an audition. I walked around the streets outside, I phoned my mum and burst into tears. I've carried that moment for over 20 years. Not because it ended my career, it didn't, but because it was the first time I understood something that would eventually change everything about how I work. Communication isn't just what you say, it's who you become when you say it. Put more simply, there is a gap between what you know and how people experience you when you speak. Everything I've built since that day has become about closing that gap. That wasn't the only time I'd let an opportunity slip through my fingers. A few years later, I was invited to Elton John's white tie and tiara ball, and I found myself standing next to someone I had long admired. And I froze, too worried about what I didn't want to happen to focus on what I actually wanted to create. And she left the party. I watched her go. And at the Majetski Stadium in 2004, I saved the decisive penalty in a charity tournament for Chris Moyles' BBC Radio 1 team. And I had a CD in my pocket, my single, 3 years of trying to get radio play, and the most influential breakfast DJ in the country celebrating right in front of me because of me, and I did absolutely nothing. Fear is temporary, awkwardness fades, but regret has staying power. Each of those moments taught me something, and eventually, together, they taught me everything. When I moved into coaching, I saw the same problems. I saw the same problems everywhere. Organisations spending thousands on generic workshops about eye contact, 2 days of presentation skills, people sitting through them, nodding along, maybe practice once or twice. Then walk into the next high-stakes meeting and default to exactly the same patterns. Nothing changes. Why? Because traditional training treats the symptoms, not the cause. It focuses on what you should say rather than who you need to become when you say it. It polishes the performance without addressing the performer. And that's why the results don't stick. The actor who prepared in that corridor understood something. Most business professionals never learn. Your message doesn't just travel through your words, it travels through your entire being, your energy, your presence, your physical state, your emotional connection to what you're saying. Audiences feel all of it, and when what you feel internally doesn't match what you're saying, they believe your body every time. After 20 years of working with leaders, performers, and teams, I built a framework. Not a list of tips, not a presentation checklist, a complete transformation system for who you become when you communicate. And I call it IMPACT Powerhouse. 6 interconnected elements, each one amplifying the others, all of them pointing at the same thing. Not better communication, a better communicator. I, intention. Getting crystal clear on what you want to create, not what you want to say, what you want them, your audience, to think, feel, do, and remember. We covered this in depth in the last video. If you haven't seen it, links in the description. M, mindset. Accessing confidence on demand, not hoping it shows up, training your nervous system to find the route back to your best self reliably. P, preparation, going beyond your content to prepare the vehicle that delivers it. You, your voice, your body, your emotion, your mind. A, awareness, reading the room whilst staying connected to yourself, being present with people instead of performing at them. C, content, creating messages that don't just inform, that transform, stories that make people feel something before they decide anything. T, take a risk, the courage to be genuinely human and fully yourself when you deliver your message. Each element builds on the last. Together, they don't just improve how you communicate, they change who you are in the room. I want to be clear about something. This isn't theory. Every element of Impact Powerhouse came from a real failure. The audition I blew taught me about preparation. The CD in my pocket taught me about taking a risk. The night that I lost my way in front of 500 people taught me about awareness. And years of watching leaders walk into rooms delivering technically correct presentations that moved absolutely nobody taught me about intention and content. The framework isn't something I built from a book. It's something I built from the wreckage of doing it wrong and from the privilege of watching thousands of people do it right. Over the next 6 weeks, I'm going to walk you through every element of Impact Powerhouse. 1 letter per week, each one building on the last. Next week, mindset and how to access your most confident self on demand, even when everything in you wants to shrink. Then preparation, what professional performers do that most leaders never learn or never do. Awareness, how to stop performing at people and start being present with them. Content, why your best story is probably buried in the appendix and how to bring it to the front. And finally, take a risk, the element that makes all of the others matter. I've spent 20 years carrying the weight of moments where I didn't show up fully. The audition I blew, the CD I never handed over, the conversation I was too afraid to start. I built Impact Powerhouse so that you don't have to carry the same weight. So that when your moments arrive, and they will, you have a system, not tips, not a workshop that you will forget in a week, a complete transformation of who you become when you communicate. If something across these 6 weeks starts to feel relevant to where you are right now, the next step is a straightforward conversation. No pitch, no obligation, just an honest discussion about what you're trying to change and whether this is the right way to do it. There is a link in the description. Or start with Impact AI if you want to explore first. That link is there too. I'll see you next week when we are going to talk about mindset. See you then.